Oh. Hey, Keon. Welcome to this week's Offer Fundamentals call, everyone. Coming from a new location this week. I'm actually on the move. So, still in Portugal, but back to Ireland next week. And then we're going to be going stateside soon to see all the guys, Charles Allen and everyone else, Brandon, Lauren. Looking forward to meeting everyone in person for finally. Me and Alan have been working together for about 5, 6 years now. Literally have never met in person. So that's going to be big. Looking forward to that. And yeah, so yeah, schedule's a little disrupted because we're moving around a bit, but we still make it work, right? We got to keep giving the value to everyone. So today's call is going to be a big one. Kind of have a loose structure when I want to follow for it, but I think this is going to be feel relevant to everyone, right? Because you know every offer has a different architecture, right? And so like we get our initial hypothesis together, get our front end sales letters done, ads, graphics, base design, get our upsells done, even an MVP version of the back end. And it's like you go out and you bring it to market. And it's like that process is a journey in and of itself. And then a lot of energy goes into it. But as you put it out there into the world, some offers, depending on the nature of what your product market fit, just hit it right out the gate. They scale up to a lot of units and they have more stability in scale. So like they may not even make money on the front end, as in a high ROAS offer, but our CPA is like, I don't know, $30. Let's say AOV is $30, maybe something very low ticket. You don't have your full upsell path built out, but let's say you get something between an AOV between 30 and $50. And you can get that to like 20, 30, 40 units pretty comfortably. And then you just hit this like invisible wall. It just starts emerging, and it can be at 5 to 10 sales for some people, 10 to 20 for others, 20 to 40 for others, and then usually as you get kind of into that kind of 40 plus volume, everyone's numbers start changing at least, right? So your CPAs will start going up, but it's very market dependent in terms of like the volume you can put in, right? And so when you hit that wall, the default thinking from most people is to go immediately back into the funnel. And like, the stuff that Brandon would do on CRO calls or even just basic product market fit work, that may be stuff you can do to win. But like split testing your way from an offer that's maybe converting at like 8%, let's say on the front end, with upsells that are doing like 20% or 15% conversion rates on O2O1 and maybe 8 to 10% on O2O2, like, can you like massively split test things and change things? Yeah, you can. You can move stuff, but there is degrees of diminishing returns. Now, if your checkout's converting at like 2% and you're just getting some absurdly cheap traffic for some reason, maybe there's some like optimization there. But let's say your base metrics are in a reasonably close to like KPIs, or the benchmark of, we've good CTR on our ads, means we don't have any abstraction. Our opt-in rate's kind of in the 8 to 15% range, somewhere around there. Our checkout converts at about 30 or 40%. Upsell one is in the like 10 to 15% range, and then upsell two is maybe in the 10% range in terms of like take rates. It's like, okay, there, not all offers will work that way, but if those are kind of your numbers ish, going back and fighting in the funnel or in the ad layer, kind of a tough way to win the war, right? Because you've hit this wall, and the law of diminishing returns just kicks in. You're going to hit this natural barrier to scale. And so, we now have on our original low ticket mastery call, we kind of like looked at the whole funnel architecture really from the front forward, and like thinking about the psychology associated with each step. We're going to actually pull that kind of that graphic up here now in a bit, and we'll start using it as a reference point, but then applying level of thinking for the back end. We're gonna like work from back to front, right? Because once you hit this limitation, you either need a new traffic source or you got to change something, right? So it's like you've either got to get your lead cost down, which is just not ever really the thing you want to focus on, or you want to change. And so yeah, the default is to go back into the funnel. So kind of it's maybe a bit of a long-winded way of coming around it, but it gives you a good picture, because this is just, you see this pattern with everyone when problems emerge. I know this was my first default whenever I was scaling up my first offers. I was always like trying to win the war in the funnel. It's like, this isn't where you want to win it, right? And so the shift the shift really is to start thinking about not your business not as a funnel with that generates leads, although it is that at some level, but more of like an organism, this interconnected ecosystem of things that you connect back to the original offer, but that also support its ability to scale. So you know. There's only because there's only so many ways we can win the war. Like adding extra bumps, upsells. Upsell 3, upsell 4, upsell 5. You wear the customer out, you burn the lead anyway. You're not going to get much AOV out of that. So you can go and fight the war in the funnel and try and squeeze under 2% out of it somewhere, or you can focus outside of the kind of traditional AC funnel, look at the other aspects of it, and go and pick up another 30 or 40% there with way lower friction, right? And so like obviously the first inflection point for this is cold booking, right? So and I was literally just talking to one of the guys in live launch about this before the call. So it serves as a good actual foundational thinking for this. The typical AC model, like there's a bucket call component, and a lot of people try and put it right at after whatever the final upsell is. That they remove the thank you page, and they'll put a bucket call, and that can work, and I think it's extremely market dependent. And so if you if you if you go with that approach, you're doing a couple of things. You're potentially validating the premise or the core value proposition of what they've just purchased by injecting fresh limitations into them prior to them ever consuming anything inside the product. So what that does is it undermines the purchase they've just had and increases buyers' remorse and increases a negative association with the business as a whole. Now, so there's a couple of things you can do with that, right? So if we think about this from like the lens of problems, right, or the nature of need, if you have a high magnitude problem that's pressing and close to a point in time in their life, is close to a point in time that's near in the near term to them that they need to get past, then that call in that sequence of a sales funnel has actually is a massive value add, because you can position this as, look, skip the queue, get ahead, get help, right? However, if you have something that's a low magnitude problem, more that there's more optionality around, you're really invalidating the core purchase. So yeah, let me share the doc here. We're going to just expand all of this out, but like expand all of this out, our thinking on this. And yeah, let me get the link set up for you guys. 1 second. Shareholders. My link. Just going to do a few things. Oh, actually, let me log into Bubble as well, so we have that. Actually, is there any anything you'd like me to cover on this in particular while we're here at the start of the call before I dive in, guys? Just because that can be useful. Steve, I think you may have some questions. Usually some pretty good prompts. Yeah, there it goes. But yeah, if you want anything else you want me to include in here in terms of like thinking mainly related to the back end, not you're like, oh, my offer is doing X or Y. I know that won't be you, Stephen, but you see them getting us. Just kind of related to generalized thinking on this. So yeah, Stephen, go for it.
Yeah, because you've already mentioned it, um, when working with bigger clients, one of the things that I really saw was when you have a much bigger operation, you're able to look at it from a different point of view than when you're just somebody starting kind of their first or second offer.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've found consistent across big clients, like multiple 8-figure into 9-figure clients, is that with each traffic source for each offer, they try to scale to stability and then look how they can add a traffic
Yes.
source and scale that to stability, and then maybe say, okay, what other offers can we make with the traffic sources that we know, and just add to the catalog of how we're scaling to stability per offer and per ad channel, versus trying to press so hard and putting all of your chips on black, so to speak.
Yeah. And
And so
that's 100% exactly the type of thinking. That's the exact type of thinking that that's really it's the mature it's as your business matures and as you mature as an entrepreneur, that's the type of thinking you should be having. It's like these are meant to be acquisition funnels. While it's great when they have like sometimes we get really high ROAS offers right at the gate, and you can scale them up to like 2-3K a day and even in profit, because you're getting a 2x ROAS. But it's like the real game that you can't always plan for that. Sometimes that's just kind of unicorn luck, right? And so
Yeah.
we got to think about this differently. And so yeah, like this scaling to stability is exactly kind of it kind of matches the ethos of this call perfectly. And then because we're look, if you focus on a good experience, good product, good experience, because the second after the purchase is happens, the product actually takes over, right? All the marketing and sales is irrelevant. And so like that's what that scaling to stability does, is like we're going to allow our customers to have a break first of all, but some space inside the product, build some desire for to build some enjoyment out of what they've got and consumed, and then create secondary transactions off the back of that. And so yeah, that's going to kind of be like that's at the core philosophically of everything we're going to be covering here today.
And then there's one more thing. It might be a little more advanced, but once you can think like that, like even with your catalog model, if you have an offer working, let's say you have an offer working, and the next step is you have Meta working to stability, you have YouTube working to stability, you have, say, I don't know, TikTok or Google working to stability. Well, like we've talked about so many times, what is a similar market under the nature of need that you can put your product in front of by just changing maybe 20% of how your product is presented, but it still fills that parallel need.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you'd be surprised how many parallel markets you can open up for opportunity that way. And then what that also does, as far as a metrics thing, is it gives you more to play with and look at overall AOV contribution for the net economics of how you want your whole thing to run. And then once you do that, and this is like, a more advanced thing, but once you do that, you start seeing patterns and how people want to consume, how they want to buy, what steps they put together. And so when you're building new things, it's easier to hit it out of the park from the beginning because you're just iterating and not pressing so hard and banking everything on one offer.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Agree with that
The only other thing I would request being added to the call, just in case I know you're probably going to add it,
Yeah.
but when you talk about going back to front, of course, so many people are going to be concentrating on, especially with low ticket, the tactics of putting it together. Can you touch here and there on where you can create maximum leverage by adding a human to human element?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I know that that's where it's all going. And I think if we get our brains on it in trying to put it together from the beginning on where to inject some of that, where the opportunities are, people will pick up speed and being able to be profitable much faster. And
Well,
I know you have it in you to just
yeah,
unconscious competence that into the
one of the
the,
one
the
of the
bits
first
here.
and easiest things you can do for that is if like okay, so we can for example, if you reposition, now it's not always easy, feasible, and quick to be able to do this right at the gate. But if you that, for example, on the thank you page where people try and go for a book or call, what if you flip that to a concierge call and have it be a guide around your members, a guided tour around the members area? Here you get to know their current situation. You say like what are you working on? Oh, you need to check out bonus three. Did you get the upsell? Maybe you could get that, but etc. You can kind of guide them through what they need. Get to know their business a bit more. There's other downstream benefits that as you're kind of getting a much clearer picture of what avatar is coming out. So even in the early stages, as you're getting scrappy and getting started, you can do that. And if you position that as like this is not a sales call in particular for the anything coaching, consulting related, if you're in this kind of space where the guys know what a call means, you have to just like overtly say it. But in kind of those more broad markets, you can do that. The other thing is you can do that in a group if you've got a ton of volume coming in, or you have someone with this kind of like dedicated you can have a dedicated hour where it's like just someone comes in, there's a Zoom call, and you kind of guide a cohort of people, maybe once a day for an hour a day, you're guiding them around. But that gives a massive sense of personalization and hand holding. Not always easy to do, but like like I don't know, like let's say I don't know for your small offer, let's say your partner, if you've got like it doesn't even have to be outsourced. You may have like a partner who's who works with you and they on the offer, they can be the perfect person for this. Even VAs and stuff can do it if you find ones with really, really good English and you guide them around the product and teach them. But that is a massive way to just change, to move the whole you move the relationship from transactional to experiential that way, where it's like the business now has become an experience, not a not just simply, this isn't, I haven't bought an e-commerce product or whatever, a course. I've bought an interaction with a company who's here to help me, and the course is kind of the vehicle that's doing that. But you're developing a personal relationship with them, because people do business, the trope with people they know, like, and trust. Well, they do the same businesses. When you give someone a good experience, they come back, right? And so, yeah, I think that's a huge leverage point. But just thinking of it through from a customer first perspective, and like, look, it's not always easy to do that, but these are the differentiators. If you can find a way to do this type of stuff, it gives you it will massively improve your ability to book any secondary transactions. They just always go up when you do this stuff massively, because that personalization and help from that is the law of reciprocity kicks in. There's so much appreciation that goes in, and it's now we're standing over our business, we're standing over our products, we're proud of our products, we're showing you our products. Here's how we can help them based on your situation. Massive increase in value add for the end user. Huge.
May I give a simple example everybody can use?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so there's a lady that I know, and her front end offer is a $27 offer, but it's a tool. So it's kind of like a Notion dashboard kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's not something that she has to service herself, but her onboarding every single Tuesday, she has a community, but every single Tuesday, she teaches the same group class to everybody that just bought, to be able to use the dashboard, go through it. It's kind of like you were talking about. It's like a group live onboarding. So she can answer questions on how to use the tech, how to use the dashboard, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And she's sold about 1,000 units of that offer every month for about the past 8 months. And consistently, every single Tuesday, she gets people that will approach her after that onboarding saying, how else can I work with you?
Yep.
And that's how she upsells, without having to pitch it, her more one-to-one consulting gig just from that. So she's generating about 1,000 paid leads that immediately go to that group onboarding. And everybody that just, wants it from there, they've already got a feel for how much better she can make their lives. And it's just been smooth sailing for her the whole way. So it can be that simple, even if you're selling something like a tool.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, because like one of every tool you buy comes with a technical deficit, no matter how simple it is. There's always a technical debt. That debt can be small or large, but the sooner you close that time to value for the end user and make it accessible for them to get, at least start making momentum forward in terms of even just understanding how to use it or generating the outcome they want from the purchase, their satisfaction goes through the roof. So it's the same with a course, it's the same with a tool, it's the same with a piece of software, it's the same with anything, right? Like if you've consulting clients and if you close a deal with someone and it's like, let's do onboarding, my schedule's like a week from now, let's do, it's free in a week from now, and it's like you maybe have an hour immediately, and it's like, if you can get on that call right now, that's the time to value enhancement. Do it now. Better, faster, straight away if you can. But yeah, that concierge onboarding type call is a massive uplift for it. And yeah, Steve's got a great concrete example of the exact outcome of we're talking about here. It's the exact parallel, or exactly carries over. So let me share the doc and we'll dive into this. Thanks for sharing that as well, by the way, Stephen. Let's share the doc. Hold on, what's going on here? Firstly, can you guys see? I've got people, yeah, everyone's popping in. Perfect. And then let's share the doc on Zoom. Excellent. Okay, so yeah, this is kind of like, this is kind of my pre-notes from the call, kind of essentially the intro for it. So like, here's the things we want to cover for the call, right? So like, how do we fit the catalog model in? Building high converting backends. So like high ticket, like we're going to talk about a couple of our mental models. So the first ones will be nature of need, and I keep coming back to these because they're fundamental. Magnitude of problem, the self-evident versus evaluative offers, and self-evident nature need, magnitude of problem, inside outside psyche as well. It's number one to just use kind of shorthand mental tools. Inside outside psyche, and I'm sure there's some other ones that will come up. I don't even keep all of these in my own head fully at all times, but these are definitely some of the bigger ones, and I'm sure I'll pop another one or two of these here as well. Right, so for filling we're going to cover filling the catalog model, high ticket. Typically what's done here is, we go for highest magnitude problem and done for you or done with you. And then you can also have min tickets. So like we could think of this from the organism perspective. So I'll share a bubble. Can you see this screen as well, guys? Just a yes or no would be great. Anyone in chat? Yes, perfect. Let's share this link in the doc as well. Perfect. Get the share link for this too. The only link, copy. Put this into the doc as well, so you guys can pop over here too. Okay, perfect. So this is what we covered on Low Ticket Mastery 1.0, where was environments as a whole, our avatar assumptions. So these are our pre-market assumptions for the actual audience, the ad network. So thinking like from front to back, the ad network. So then from the ad to the sales page, then our checkout, upsell path, post-purchase, nurture, and ascension, right? And so a lot of the meat of this call was really around probably you got to nurture and just kind of it started falling off here. But I think we'll do a quick refresher here because this is kind of like foundational thinking. And so like, yeah, the environment as a whole, like what's going on for them in the world, what's going on around them, in terms of like changes. So what's the individual avatar, what's going on for them personally, what changes are they experiencing, what's creating awareness for us in the market for our offers, what's creating desire for us, and what's creating new needs for us as well. So these are kind of like the environment as a whole, how we can evaluate any of what we can evaluate our offers through. Then the actual avatar, like what's going on for them, in the past, the present, the future. So who they are, what are their goals, what are their limiting beliefs, things that are inside of their psyche versus outside their psyche, what are their desires, what are the limitations, and then from the limitations, they're perceived and actual. Then ad network, yeah, we don't need to dive too much into this. This is just like clicks. We can come there, click to sales page. Then our front end sales pages, they're kind of like conceptualization of the first time they can conceptualize the outcome of our product, right? And our front end offer, our back end offers should ultimately be the highest value way that we can deliver that outcome to the audience, right? Certainly for an AC style funnel, if you're doing e-commerce, this isn't always the case, but if it's lose weight in X time frame as a general simple example, the back end is lose weight in X time frame with our support, right? It's the done with you component that increases the value or in a higher value way. So the front end sales page is like the first conceptualization of the outcome that they can have. And so they get an idea of like the timeline for completion, the amount of energy they have to invest, what the outcome and the pricing of the actual offer, etc. As well. Then they go to the checkout. That's kind of like, for me, I think of the checkout as the first evaluation point for actually a willingness to purchase. So while you can land on an offer page and like go, yeah, this feels cool. You kind of like scan it for its qualitative factors. Does this feel right? Doesn't this? Do I want this? Don't I? And it's like, yeah, this seems cool. Then you like bounce off to the checkout, and you're like, you'll find yourself doing this. I've certainly noticed this behavior myself, and it's like you can move people to the checkout fairly easily, but the checkout is where the weight of the offer starts getting its first evaluation. So the like, am I willing to invest all of that time, energy, effort, or just even pay the price for this? All of that really happens at the checkout. Outside of the checkout, it's kind of the desirability and attainability of the front end outcome is being built up. But on the checkout, they do that first evaluation. And so right after that purchase in the upsell path, that's when we start taking over control of the sales process, because once what every purchase is, and we'll put this in actually because this relates to our back end, right? What every single front end purchase you have is an admission of a need for help and awareness of a personal limitation, a desire for change, and a step towards taking responsibility for making it happen. Right? So that's the first thing that's going on when people are purchasing, right? And so after someone spends money on this, it doesn't need to be in a major way. It can be as low as $5, right? This is all what we're learning about them. So the upsell path, we have a totally new set of information with this person. At the ad layer, and on the checkout layer, it's curiosity driven. But until we start generating a consistent flow of buyers, we haven't really created any sort of our hypothesis about who this audience is. And but once we have gotten a purchase, this all becomes very, very clear and very, very real and tangible to us. So yeah, this is something we should keep top of mind. Sorry for change, a step towards taking responsibility for it, an admission for a need for help. Yeah, so these are big, right? Because I'll just lock my own screen here. Yeah, so because this ultimately helps fill out the catalog model. Once you know what people's limitations are, what they want help with, etc. It helps us identify and find the adjacent problems. So that's this upsell one. Right after the very first purchase, you have so much more information on who your customer is, just even intuitively. You don't even need to have done full market research. You can just make a lot of very intuitive assumptions as to what those people are. And so then once they've done purchasing, the next experience is time to value, right? And this is in the product. So have their expectations been met? The time to value they can actually get in terms of what moves me closer to my outcome. Doesn't have to be immediately, and this is what things like the 7-day fast start do inside of a traditional AC funnel. And the other stuff is they start validating are any of the components they've bought missing. They won't always be obvious. Like let's say you've like 8 bonuses, they won't remember all of them, but there may have been one in there that they really wanted, and that was part of this thing was adjacent to the purchase. So they'll go in there and say, hey, what's going on? Where is XYZ? And if it's really low quality, that collapses the perceived value for them of what they've purchased and invalidates what's going on in the business, right? Or their interaction with the business in a way, in terms of I no longer have it violates trust and faith in you to generate outcomes for them, right? Yeah, if the product is lower quality than expected, can I easily access it? Is it congruent with the general promise I was given on the front? And so this is really where Low Ticket Mastery 1.0 kind of tapered off. This is where we stopped. And so like on the familiarization, nurture, and secondary transactions, we didn't really touch on that, and that's kind of the whole point of the 2.0 version of this call. So I'm going to pair my notes with this and build an additional organism here, because this is as I said, what the way I think about offers or these is through this lens. So hold on, Bubble, start cooperating. Yeah, perfect. Actually, let's get rid of all this other stuff because I cloned this. I don't know why I did this. Just delete it. What is going on here? Yeah, fine. Okay, so first thing we want to cover is, yeah, catalog model. Okay, so actually, in fact, no, we're going to do this out of sequence. Content hub. So this, get rid of this. Yeah, bring this up here. It's fine. Okay, I'll just drag it off over here and we'll ignore this other area that's adjacent. No need to be near it. Okay, so we've a content hub. We then want to also add catalog model. Catalog model. I'm actually going to talk about the product and your members area here as well, because I kind of linked that here as well, but I think of these as separate events. Members area. Come on. Your email list as well. So here, serializations related to that. Yeah, translating that. Yeah, branding, content hub. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, and so under this, we want to cover philosophy. Yeah, yeah, okay. Bubble is maybe, what else do I want to just use this from a more visual perspective, and we'll go back to the doc, actually, get rid of this. Okay. Members area, content hub, catalog model, email list. Secondary transactions. So I think if we're targeting ads is also another part of this for secondary offers. Yeah. Okay. Got this base structure here. Excellent. Okay, so let's come over to the doc here. We'll do a little bit of work in here and then peel over. So on the catalog model, right? From learning this information, I'm just going to bring this down, put it right beside here. After the front end purchase, we've learned all this about the customer, right? They've admitted they need help. They're aware of their own personal limitations insofar as their ability to solve the problems on their own, right? That's what the purchase is for, right? They can't solve it on their own. They have a desire for change, meaning they want this. They want this in some form of reasonable time frame. And then they're taking a census. So they are taking a step towards taking responsibility for making it happen. So some degree of ownership, right? And so the catalog model, you can look upon this in a couple of ways. Insert a table here. We can think of adding the catalog model on a timeline. So timeline of their life or the problem. We can think of it through limitations that emerge for them from a skill deficit, skill or capabilities deficit. You think of in terms of adjacent problems that are that are not directly related to the core offer, but are like co-occurrences. We talked about the co-occurrences phenomenon on the avatar assumptions call. And then we can also think about accelerants, right? So I'm just going to put this all on one page and put a few more boxes underneath this. Insert row below. Insert row below. As you can see, this is all created in real time. I'm still figuring out what's the best way to communicate this information, but I think this is good. So for the timeline of their life problem, so you know what what problems came before this one that they still have. What new problems emerge after solving the current problem? What new problems emerge while trying to solve the problem? So this is kind of all related to the this is all related to the core purchase, right? If you sold a weight loss product, what problems came before that? Well, they were eating poorly, right? What new problems come after solving it? It's loose skin, or maybe they've more wrinkles on their body or cellulite type stuff from having lost weight, right? Or what new problems emerge as they're trying to solve the problem? I have cravings kick up, right? So you've given all this other stuff. You've given all this. Actually, this is great. We'll put these examples in because these are really good examples. Weight loss on the timeline. So what problems came before this? Bad eating habits in general, eating and lifestyle habits in general. And it won't always be a case. That one doesn't have a obvious additional product, but it may be because it's kind of attached to the weight loss goal anyways, but it won't always be the case, right? This is like a co-occurrence, but you're solving, they're both being solved at the same time. So it won't always create a obvious catalog model type product. So this is came before. Emerges after. Like loose skin, wrinkles, all this type of stuff, all this type of stuff. It doesn't always have to be in the extreme. This is kind of thinking in an extreme example. But it's illustrative. That's why I love these black and white examples, because they're always extremely illustrative. And it's easy to make your point. And then what new problems emerges while they're trying to solve it, while trying to solve emerges while trying to solve. So like, cravings kick up, etc. Right? So as you can see, these are all separate problems, but they're related. Now, for the weight loss example, could you have a something about bad eating and lifestyle type product as part of your catalog model, maybe as some sort of front end? If you have a massive authority figure as your front end, a massive authority figure for your who has a lot of a massive where they're just interested in learning philosophically what about a diet and lifestyle or whatever from that person. That type of products there. That's more for this example. It doesn't really create a obvious problem solution type product, but this just gives you insight into the avatar, right? But for something else, let's take depression as an example. something that might have come before was just social isolation. There's a separate product about, maybe outgoingness and just be more social, or be, learning to talk with others, etc. There's an example of the problem that came before was actually maybe even a currently existing or co-occurring problem, right? And it can give you insight into additional audiences that you can create additional product for that will lead to the same person, right? Will bring you the same type of audience. So yeah, emerges after loose skin, wrinkles, all this type of stuff. So we can think about this through a productization lens. You could cream. You could create e-commerce store with, like, I don't know, creams with yeah, I don't know, some of those anti-wrinkle agents in them. Right? So that's obviously some productization that needs to go in there, or product development that goes in there, but it's an example of something we could add in there. Wrinkles, you may have something that would, you have referral to third-party vendors, third parties for particular leads. So this is an example of hidden economics that we'll talk about. So you may have someone else that you can refer these leads out to locally who could help, right? Or just US wide. You'd need a nationwide provider for that. Not a great example, but you can see where I'm going with that, right? These are simple additions. In this market, the loose skin stuff, it's kind of hard to create a product around that just based on my knowledge to it. But the wrinkles stuff, I think there's a big well of knowledge that you can go in there. You could have stuff just generally around that in terms of like how to just generally take care of your skin, nutrition around that, etc. I think it'll bring a lot of value to that audience. And then yeah, the cravings one is the most obvious one, right? So it's like if you could have an entire separate product on food for cravings in particular, right? Recipe books, cooking tutorials, meal plans, etc. All for people who deal with cravings in particular, right? So this is a good example for the timeline stuff of what came before, emerges after, and emerges while solving the problem. And these are kind of all, if you think about it, these are all kind of, this one could be anywhere from years, weeks to months. This is post completion. So yeah, emerges after, post completion. Depends on the timeline. It also depends on timeline to completion. So if you've something this is another reason why, if you can solve problems quickly and identify additional adjacent things that they may want, you can actually speed up the secondary transactions because you now know what their next problems are, right? The emerges while though, you can instantly create these offers, right? And you can even think of this through the lens. We did this on what was it? What was the call? I think it was the very first one. Was the bumps? Anyway, there's a couple of types of bumps: optional, additive, adjacent, and accelerants. And so you can use some of this thinking if you're just coming up with your first product. You can use some of this thinking for bonuses, but these also create options for opportunities for a different product, totally separate products, but they could also be bumps and stuff as well. So the next one is limitations from a skill or capabilities deficit, right? So we let's say this would be like templates, right? So usually you're solving that in our niche. So actually this is more in the examples category. So I'll use our niche as an example for this. Example, limitations, and then we'll go for the categories. So templates are usually used for this. So from a skill deficit, and what you do here is you map out the skills that are needed to to create the highest value or highest transformational outcome for the offer, right? So, okay, really simple example of this. Really simple example of this would be like video editing or something like that. Or even like, let's say you're a copywriter, right? And you're teaching someone a copywriting course, and it's like, yeah, you're gonna learn how to write great copy. It's like a limitation that emerged from the skills when they go to clients and they give them over the copy. Like, your copy's great, but we need video ads. And so it's like, if you had some sort of way of showing them how to hire editors or what good editing looked like, that's another limitation that they're naturally going to want to solve. That's a co-occurrence. So you can kind of map out the skills. Now that one's more of an adjacent one than direct related to the outcome. But yeah, templates would be so a video example, or sorry, copywriting example. Let's put this in here. Copywriting example. Of copy is that it's only words on a page, and the clients need graphics or visual help. So if you have a product on copy, your next obvious problem solve is dealing with that limitation. And then you sell new product, copy to video conversions or whatever. Conversions. That's just a basic copyright example of limitations. Yeah. So yeah, limitations that emerge from the skills. So map out the skills that are there needed to create the highest value outcome, and just be like, okay, what skills do these people need to have to get the full version of this? And then you can create trainings for those. Create trainings, templates, resources around that. This one is not really, it's kind of one of these ones I think of like, it's almost hidden in plain sight. You're going, of course I should do that. But no one I think is actively thinking about this through a limitations. It's going like, okay, I'm selling some sort of 0 to 1 business opportunity type stuff. Got to map out all the skills, right? The more you map out the things they need, the resources they have, you can get a much clearer picture of the types of, you can apply this thinking to productization of core products as well. But this is very emerging. This really helps with catalog model is where this is where we're kind of primarily thinking for. But it's the same type of thinking for productization for just an individual offer, depending on what you want to do. But you can expand the thinking to other products, right? In terms of like how we create some width around this. So yeah, you map out the skills that they need to create the highest transformational outcome of the offer, and then create additional trainings, templates, resources, products, services, workshops, right? Anything of this nature for those, right? And the place you should be looking for these are questions from the community. Like your customers will actually just start asking you, how do I do X? That will just start occurring, right? And these are like, you may want to help them immediately with that and provide resources, but you can actually create additional dedicated full-blown products for this. So this is kind of limitations that emerge from the skill or capabilities deficit that they have with the core purchase, right? And then we have adjacent problems. So very similar to the skills one here, we just map out everything else that is a co-occurrence, and for my avatar and create additional products for those co-occurrences. So actually, co-occurrence, I didn't finish out the example here. Yeah, this is the copyright example. But okay, so example limitations, let's just use, okay, even just MHP here, right? What have we done templates for? Ads, funnels, for sales copy, for VSLs, right? All the limitations are accounted for, right? And then what these calls are for is educational for helping you kind of conceptualize how this all works, and dedicated training on getting better, right? So this is kind of, through the NHB example, the type of way we're dealing with the limitations component, right? On the adjacent problems one, let's get an example here. This one is more a limitation for adjacent. This is actually a limitation adjacent, actually, now that I think about it. And yeah, adjacent problems, yeah. Yeah, this is more limitation for kind of an adjacent problem. Because like, okay, I've become a great copywriter, which is our copywriting example, right? I've become a great my copy's great. My clients are happy. They like they read the copy, they feel it's great. But I need to make ads, I need to make VSLs, I need to make X, Y, or Z, right? So this is kind of more of an adjacent problem than a direct one. The example of the limitations in the copy example would just be, you would have the inability to kind of think contextually, the inability to speak to understand the kind of needs and wants of the audience, misunderstanding limiting beliefs, not thinking contextually around the nature of need of the audience. So if you have a cyclical, or sorry, if you have a one-time need and you start talking about like in the future, I suppose you could be doing that. But yeah, you see where I'm going with that anyway. The copy would be more around the skills around writing, like, so it would be writing skills. And so, but for that example, I'd probably more put that in as things you'd need to include in the course. But you could have dedicated full-blown trainings on, limiting beliefs or whatever for copywriters, as an example. You'd have to just build up the desire for them to make a purchase. So you have to make them aware of it. That's more of an educational type example. But the adjacent problem, which is far more obvious, what the example I've just given you there actually speaks to, which is a better product. We're doing product market fit work. I would have to do all of this educational stuff to make them aware that, hey, you need to buy my limiting beliefs copy course. It's like, well, I already kind of know how to write copy. So that it's outside their psyche. They're not fully aware of it. So I have to go through this educational cycle, and it's an evaluative offer. That's another one we wanted to talk about. So educational versus evaluative copy. Educational versus evaluative. So yeah, we'd have to go through an evaluative process. So I probably wouldn't want to build that product if it was the second. I may build it as my 10th product in my catalog model, but the first one, if I had a copywriting course, would be, hey, learn how to hire VAs or hire assistants, or become a great video editor, something around, take your copy and turn it into productions for your clients, multiply your skills by 10x, by give your clients what they want. They don't just want words on the page, which are great. They want ads, videos, and VSLs to create, sales, customers, and clients. Boom. We have a second product from our copywriting course, right? It's a lower friction product to create than the other one. Well, they may need to learn about this stuff. Are they willing to pay for it? Maybe with enough education, but it's not as obvious, reflexive, and immediate as a problem, right? So the adjacent problem is a better example of something we want to put into the catalog model. For this example. So yeah, on the adjacent problems, we're going to map out everything out as the co-occurrences. We're going to weigh up the value of each of these co-occurrences, and filter them through inside outside psyche, psyche, nature of need, self-evident versus evaluative. I'm going to clean up these notes afterwards. Evident versus evaluative offers, and then we can build them. It helps us dissect which offers we should build next, right? And similar stuff you will see in the communities and stuff as well, and through secondary interactions, questions, and or just general conversation emerging around this, around these co-occurrences. But they may not. They sometimes will. They may not come directly to your business for that solution, but they may just talk about it in the community. They may come and ask about it. Hey, do you have anything for X? But you may also just notice a conversation emerge around it. So it's like that's telling you attention is being put here on this other problem. And it's like we don't have a solution for that. So we should go and find someone who has it, or create one, right? So yeah, that's it. And then the next one is just accelerants, right? And so these are ways we can compress time to the outcome, right? So we know what the core problem they want to solve is. What can we do to speed it up, right? And so these would typically be done via back-end services and stuff. But you could think about this through mid-ticket, high tickets, or catalog model type stuff as well. It's like you could have specialized courses on any component of it. So for let's give an example of this. Accelerants. Is this valuable, by the way, guys? Just want to make sure everyone's enjoying this. Just any stuff in chat would be great. Just let me know let me know how this is going. Yeah, perfect. Okay, good. Thank you, David. Yeah, ways to compress time to the outcome. So like, okay, we can have a rapid launch stack. Well, we talked about templates as well already, like a rapid launch stack for AC in the AC funnel did this. So as well as back-end services. I want to get off the AC example services, but just these are just like quick, simple examples. I could do some other stuff. You could have, anything that's done for you, ads, copy, etc. All our templates. They're kind of hinting at limitations at some level, but they're also accelerants, right? So I like to separate my thinking on these because you don't always, a skill limitation sometimes a skill limitation while solving it does act as an accelerant. You may just automatically give templates and not be aware of what the limitation you're actually solving is, what skill deficit it is. And so your templates may just be as part of your core product, but you could have a dedicated separate product that is an accelerant for that learning, and you're kind of missing it by just having the templates there. Why do I need to have a dedicated ad writing course? They already know, they have our ad templates. It just gives you this like blind spot. So thinking of it this way is useful. As well. Yeah, so done for you any backend stuff. But let's go to a different market. To the AC examples. AC/NHP examples. So workshops as well. Some kind of form factors. But let's leave the AC market or the AC example and go to something else. Upwriting's too close. Talked about depression, weight loss. Let's try depression, see what comes up. Thank you, Stephen. Okay, yeah, a print-on-demand e-com store. All right, let's try that. Print-on-demand e-com store. What accelerants could I add to that? Let's pick a market. See the okay. One of the limitations here is this purchase is more attached to a this purchase is more attached to a novelty or you know, like it's very it's not the problem it's solving is I want a cool t-shirt and it's like what secondary yeah exactly identity. So I suppose if you had a strong identity associated with it, I don't know, let's take Trump supporters or you know Democrats. Let's use the political scuba market. Interesting. Print on demand e-com store for scuba diving. Okay. So the limitations or accelerants. Hmm. Well, print on demand e-com store scuba diving. What accelerants could I add to that market? Hmm. Yeah, the obvious stuff to me, like your upsell path would be like just equipment, like equipment, you know, from a high quality perspective, like mainly the suits and the masks. Yes, unmute for sure, Stephen. 100%. Suits, masks, this type of stuff. It's maybe hard finding some.
So I'm using this because you wanted something that's not AC.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I used to have this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I had to think about ways I could really use the back end, because if you're selling print on demand stuff, how do you have something that's substantial on the back end? And here's what I figured out. You ready?
I would do
If
course.
they're buying into it, do what?
Courses seem obvious to me as well. Like even I'm thinking mainly as the way I would think of the way I'm thinking about an accelerant in this context, and not to jump off you. Like there's definitely
Yeah.
courses and component to this, but I'm thinking of like an accelerant to the identity purchase of a scuba diver, meaning how I get either increase my skills or capabilities or get, you know, become a better scuba diver immediately.
This is exactly where I was going with it.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, yeah.
So here's what I figured out. All of the people in hobbyist markets, as an accelerant, like you said, are looking for ways to deepen their participation into that hobby market, because that reinforces their identity, right? So
Yeah.
what I did is I would sell them print on demand scuba stuff, but those were just basically acquisitions to that email list. And then on the back end, what I would do is I would figure out what the top resorts everybody wanted to travel to in per season,
Yeah.
and I called around and got affiliate deals where
Yeah.
I could push people to those resorts as couples or as groups or whatever it was, and I would get kicks from those high ticket purchases from my email list, just by creating stories, creating guides on how to go on those dives, how to prepare, doing interviews with the dive masters of those places to give them that experience, to then go ahead and jump in and spend the money on that higher ticket back end of my scuba store. And I didn't even have to fulfill it. It was just giving them more of that experience in the hobbyist market.
Yeah. No, I think that's good insight. It's kind of touching loosely on what I was talking about in terms of referring energy, like for the loose skin example I gave earlier. But I think it shows you how even with experience of doing this stuff or create, it's not always immediately obvious, right? So this is why it's like, for example, when I'm talking about limitation and accelerants, they kind of both solve the same thing at some level, in some way potentially. Because mapping, you know, we're using templates here and we're using templates here potentially, but thinking of it through the limitations lens, we emerge additional dedicated trainings that they may want to just not have to need the tools. You don't need the templates now. You can do it on your own, right? So it's like it's not always obviously hidden there it's not always obvious, and so having these like ways of separating our thinking helps us explore additional opportunities. But yeah, this is a good one for this market is thinking like what other things are they consuming, where do they want to go? So like putting them what other things they want to do, where they want to go, you know, this is attached to the identity stuff really. Good for hobbyist markets. Yeah, these are good additions. Stephen, thank you for sharing.
Happy to help, brother. And that all kind of falls under the big thing that Alan talks about on who do they want to become by
Yeah.
saying yes to the offer.
Yeah. That's the identity upgrade. Yeah. Yeah, no, these are good. This is a good example. Yeah, so and this you could also layer in the thinking of kind of almost on the timeline of their life as well. You know, it's kind of attached to a little bit of that as well, where they want to move, things they'd like to experience along the timeline with that audience. So yeah, this is a good example. Okay, let me finish fleshing this point out. So yeah, um, yeah, map out um, um, the limitations here, and build dedicated products that enhance capabilities. Abilities. You can do this in a done for you way as well. Like it's like done for you always helps for you. Um, done for you type services go well here. Um, what else? Software's train, like yeah, custom GPTs, all that type of stuff. These are more the mechanisms. So I'm trying to keep this out of the mechanism that you'd use to fulfill and more on the way the overarching principles. Um, yeah, but we'll put that in there as well, I suppose. Um, all this type of stuff. Not all of these will always have high perceived value, but yeah, this is the type of stuff we can think of. I might come back and expand on this as more thinking emerges on it. But yeah, this is I think is this is these are the right categories to have for sure. Um, so yeah, so now if we come back to Bubble, right, we can add this in to our kind of like catalog model. So this is all the stuff that's going in here under this, right? We map out all of the options we can to expand the ecosystem products we create for your audience. That's essentially what we're doing with the catalog model. Now, the members area, I want to go in here first, right? As well. Or sorry, not first, next. Um, so let's talk about your members area because your members area is actually your first step to your back end from your first purchase, right? So where do I want to put this here? Yeah, let's put it here. After copy, yeah, perfect. Wasn't on my initial list, but I do want to talk about this. So members area. So the things we want to cover here are like oh okay, right. Marketing and sales generates a purchase. The product takes over after that. So the product is becomes your marketing and sales the second after the purchase cycle is over, right? People go into your members area, they poke around, they get a feel for the outcome product product can generate in consumption and match it back against the promises they were given inside sales funnel, sales funnel, right? So like a lot of times you'll have, okay, I won't mention any names. We've had people come for help and not in live launch. This is like predates any of the kind of like NHP stuff or NHP stuff I'm doing now, but here inside of Entropy. This is from a few years ago, so I won't mention any names, but we have people come to us and they're like, help me get more booked calls. Book calls. We're generating 100 to 200 leads a day. And that was varying. There's a degree of seasonality to it, so it was kind of averaging out. In slow periods it would go to this, high periods it would go to this, but we're sending almost nobody, right? It's like they were getting it's like 0.2% of the leads were like booking calls, right? So it's just like there's this massive abstraction in we have to generate 1,000 leads to get 1,000 sales to get 2 calls. Like what the hell is going on here, right? And this is where what I mean by the members area, right? What you're going, just help me get more book calls. So it's like, okay, we need to hammer the email list. We need to do, book a call sequences. We need to, add all this other stuff via email sequences, right? So it's kind of like the obvious strategical stuff. And it's like, nobody ever thinks about product or the environment that they're consuming inside of, right? And it's like, that's actually where the first energy should go. And how can I make this product fulfill on the promises I've made in the sales funnel, right? This is the core thing you should be thinking about, right? So if you override the omelet, want to make sales, but gets a little harder to move people through. So types of things we could consider doing in here. Okay, so there's some stuff we can do as well just to even move them over, but from the members area to your call booking forms. But I'm kind of ignoring that bit for the moment because that's also the members area actually. So here's what we'll do. We'll create another little grid. Insert table. We'll go product consumption, and then tactics. You move then to the call. This is kind of not really the point of this call as such, to talk about tactics to move into the call, but I'll just kind of touch on it here. To be, just because we're talking about the members area, we may as well just skim past it as points of value. So if you've low production values, or it's inane rambling, no brand continuity. Slides are chaotic. You have a lot of inane rambling, similar to me when I go off in some of the corners of this call, but I'm doing it from a place of exploration. I kind of have a topic. Sometimes I just get people who, they have a product, they've created it. It's and this middle section is just a loop where nothing of value to the end user is being there, and they're almost. I think a lot of the reason that this happens is some of the mistakes people make. You engineer a maze because you want people to not refund. We have a lot. That's a loss of the product, right? My refund period is X. I don't want them to be finished before then, right? And it's what you're optimizing for there, what you're optimizing for here in this instance, optimizing for the lowest value parasitic customer, not taking all the value and bouncing instead at the cost of the people you actually want and need for the business to remain the business to have secondary transactions, having a good experience, right? So this one kind of can come up almost unconsciously, right? People kind of like engineer this maze, because like we don't, what should the refund period be? Like this one tangles people up a lot, and it's like there's this anxiety around this, and I think this kind of sneaks in subconsciously, and it may not even be for the refund period. It may just be for some other reason. But you engineer this maze, it disengages the customer. They don't want to log back into the area. And the way this happens for them, even it's like, yeah, I still have the desire here. Maybe I'll come back to this, but or sorry, I'll come back to this later is what ends up happening, right? And that later never comes, right? Um, and so what you end up creating is a lot of leads, which was this issue, right? Ton of leads, but we're sending almost nobody. And it's like we just need to get our call booking rate up. But it's like you cannot, you can't overwhelm this with tactics. Can't overwhelm bad product and the lack of faith it creates with tactics, right? The tactics amplify the desire to work with you more that already exists from the product consumption, right? Does that make sense? By consuming the product, I'm having a good time. I believe you can help me. I want to do more. Now let's set up email sequences. Oh, there's another email. Yeah, actually, let me go check that page. Suddenly, all of that energy that you're spending on all of these other tactics for call booking forms and strategically placing things around there, maybe even retargeting ads, whatever it is, none of that matters as much, or sorry, none of that is as it becomes 100 times more effective inside of the context of consumption and a high quality consumption from the audience and them getting the outcomes they wanted, right? So some of the tactics we can do for this in our members area is like under videos, we will have direct links out to our book call pages. We can also overtly mention our offers in our training materials or course content, and how they help, right? Again, an example of something where it's like, oh, hey, we also have this other service. It's like, yeah, but I'm having a shit time with this product because it's really crap. Not going to that, right? So it's like the mentioning of that tactic doesn't work inside the context of bad user experience, right? Yeah, 100%. So yeah, promises that made in the sales funnel. Yeah. So yeah, these are some of the tactics. So like direct links out to call booking pages directly under your videos inside your content. You can overtly mention your offers, your back end, your front end, your catalog stuff, materials in your course content. You can set up email sequences to move them over to call booking forms. You can have bonus trainings for people who sign up to calls that unlock in your members area via like some sort of tag. But then the problem with this, you got to be careful with this too. You're creating calls for an outcome for the bonus training, not the not the desire to work on a book call. So that one you got to be careful with. Um, if you do that, I usually would link the call in some way to the bonus training. It's like some sort of customization event for us. Um, yeah, but yeah, yeah, in engineering, yeah, engineering maze. Yeah, so the product consumption is just so important, right? And so this this no, this component is actually this is like our linchpin. The members area is actually a linchpin for the whole business because it's the first point that they can say, I believe in this business or I don't, right? Uh, yep, Stephen?
Question about the members area. Um, would you also say that the members area is a great place to reinforce the outcomes and use a lot of motivating language
Oh yeah,
in how
100%.
you structure things? I've found that adding that, you really get more consumption that way because you're continually reinforcing what they're getting and then reframing how they're seeing their progress.
Yeah. That's yeah. I should have probably overtly say that, I suppose, as part of your trainings. Yeah, but you want to like yeah. So uh, your content should also be training them, be motivational, inspirational, educational, build excitation, excitation, and belief. Right. We covered some of this on the unconscious mechanisms of conversions call. You could kind of even pair that thinking here as well. That's one of those ones though um, that's one of those ones that I'm taking as kind of de facto for granted. But yeah, you're right, Stephen. This should all be in there, for sure. Because that amps up amps up the belief in the core product of business, everything, right? So you got it. Some part of courses is just about there's an aspect of the purchase that's almost entertainment value, right? And making the content entertaining and engaging is part of that belief building stuff as well. So yeah, but the members area is kind of our first point where they say I believe in this business or don't, right? And so like for us to be able to create any more any secondary transactions via doesn't matter what it is, low ticket subscriptions, high tickets, all of that for me always comes here, right? So what we ended up doing with this client was just going through all the product stuff, and it was just literally upgrading the actual product components, taking their trainings, transcribing them, converting them to higher quality slides with some graphic design, etc. Plugging that all back in, and this call booking numbers went from 0.2% to like 1.3%. So like still not a monster lift or in terms of like overall numbers, but it was just even that was a massive, it was five or six times the volume of calls, right? And this was measured within the first 7 days. For 7 days of purchase, right? So the the over time you get more, right? And this speaks to the additional stuff you'd be doing like on your email list, etc. For them to get them over. Also, stuff you should do here, tactics to move them to a call in general. You can actually just target ads to the actual call booking page, ads to the call booking page. I don't see people doing this a lot. Page for buyers. But I think also if you really beef up the product consumables, retargeting people to just your login page for just link click ads, retarget them over there. They've paid for this product um, ads to the product page or to the login page. Like, I think this is a big win, big win, because like the targeting ads. target. Man, my typing is atrocious today. Yeah, it can take 3 or 4 interactions with the product to sometimes people will come in and they just want off time. But if you're these link click ads, it's the cheapest conversion objection and objective. And if you set it up for only people who've purchased, um and do it within kind of like 14 days, you can have this thing cruising around at like $5 a day. But it's getting people back into your members area, and it shows that you care about your business. Hey, they're advertising to get me back into the product. They clearly believe in this, right? The concierge call stuff as well. Another big one here for this. Guide people around the members area. Yeah, ask them about their business. Guide them to resources that are specifically most helpful to them based on what they give, the feedback they give you, and you can also guide them to additional product. All this can be done in a low touch, low intimidation environment. Oh, look, we have other products or services for that, but just get in, do X, Y, or Z here first, and see how you get on. You can still make a lot of progress with just this, right? So, yeah, this one is kind of tactics that move into the call, and this one is some are just like tactics that move them through the product and build belief in the business as a whole. But we'll just leave them all there attached to each other. So, what is next? That's on down here. Yeah. So next we'll cover like how to transform. So after you've let's assume your product meets all the criteria for a good product, right? We've had they're having a good experience. They they um they move or sorry, they believe the business can help them. That's kind of is the first step in, I suppose, moving it from transactional to collaborative. But yeah, this all kind of comes to a dialogue with the audience. So like obviously I've got my base note here is like pounding the list. People just like hitting people with offers, etc. But narrative, there's a narrative going on between you and your audience at all times, right? It changes based on the environment and what's going on around it, around them, which is kind of what we talked about up here on the environment as a whole section. After they purchase this is still this is the dynamic component of the this is the dynamic component of business in general, right? The world is still this dynamic, ever-changing place, and so if you're continuing to have a dialogue with this list, um, you know, you're moving that relationship from one where they're spending time with the product becomes time and relationship with the product moves to time and relationship with you, the person they're having the conversation with, right? Because if like, okay, let's assume it's still your offer, and you're the guru, or you're the face of it. You're the one you're the one who's created it, and you're the one who's made all the presentations. You're speaking or whatever. They still really, until they've gone in there maybe 5, 10 times, um, the relationship is really with the product and the promise of it. From the sales message, but we transmute that to a relationship with the person over time, right? The more time they spend with you, the more attention and isolation you get with them. You they now they now the relationship forms from like the product to they transform the outcome from the product to you, the business as a whole, right? So you and the business as a whole, and the belief, right? So this amps up desire to work with you, and positions you as an authority, right? And so why is that happening? Okay. Yeah, so regular emails that are non-transactional and offer insight into what is going on in the world around them as it relates to the changes or things that they're becoming aware of, right? So you move it from having a monologue with the audience over to a dialogue. You move from being something in their inbox to someone they're excited to see what they're talking about. Right? So, yeah, and so that transactional relationships kind of exists in this. I suppose, even what Stephen was talking about in the members area, where you're using like your motivational, educational, inspirational language to build up like desire. It's kind of happening there at some level as well. Um, but if you're running a very transaction based interaction with your list where it's nothing but promo, that kills this as well. Also damages any it damages the back end ascension as well. Like you got to give them space to breathe and also space to trust even more, deepen the relationship. So yeah, but yeah, when you move from being someone in their inbox to someone they're excited to see what they're talking about, buying resistance for what anything you're selling uh, goes way down. So then your next promo's way more effective, right? So yeah. Then I suppose this links into this concept of a content hub. Like this one is the content hub, or what's I calling it down here? It's a better name for it. Yeah, brand hub. Yeah, this we definitely want to talk about this. So, like, this is really kind of if you're doing the catalog model, you need a website for it to be aggregated around for the most part. So, like, let's say your offer is, I don't know, doesn't matter what it is, any sort of weight loss offer. We'll have a generalized kind of like Mindvalley type site where we have a where we have where we have a separate separate way that they can consume value or maybe even learn about the products. And if you have that just be nothing but an offer catalog, that can work while you're getting started. But inside of this as well, we should have these components, right? The philosophy of the business, so like what you believe about the problems you solve, your values, so like what you stand for, what you will do, meaning the 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 reasons you make the products you make, and then what you won't do, right? We won't make things for the sake. So this like speaks to your values, the reason to exist. So like why you're solving the problem in the first place. This can be like your own hero's journey. And then your altruistic motivations. So like your plan for the business, your plan for yourself, your plan for the audience, your plan for the world. You should weave this sort of stuff into even just a homepage, like a homepage where okay, you wouldn't call it philosophies, values, reason to exist, altruistic motivations, but if you can weave, what you believe, we want to make weight loss simple, right? Because everyone is so overwhelmed by X, Y, or Z, From fast food being everywhere to it being so hard, people having no time to cook, etc. We want to change that, right? We want to make it simple that even inside of all of that complexity, that weight loss is still attainable, realistic, and possible for everyone, right? So that's the kind of your philosophical version of that. And then the values, like what we stand for, is like we we want to make weight loss simple. We want to make it attainable. We want to make it accessible. All that type of stuff, and we're not going to ever sell you like products that don't work, right? So this is what we won't do. We're not gonna create things that are simply there to make a quick buck. All of our products are designed, with that the core focus of you, the customer, in mind, right? So like all of this type of stuff, when brought into your brand messaging, around your catalog model, helps anchor it in a helps anchor us in a in a world, in a space that they feel safe, right? It's like, okay, I'm still being taken care of. So like at this stage, they probably won't have gotten here if you're not doing a lot right with the list, and also in your original low ticket product, in the consumable in the members area. But it's still nice to just have this, even if it's only underscoring the stuff that you're already communicating elsewhere in the consumables list, and other products. This just shows that it's not all about selling stuff when they get to the site as well. So like this can just be all on the homepage, and then you have like links out to other products and stuff as well. And it kind of just it creates a nice aesthetic for the business as a whole. So that, I suppose, links into the catalog model. On the back end stuff, right? Yeah, let's talk about this. So let me build out that bubble list. Maybe it's not helpful in its current format. So everything we've talked about prior to this leads here, right? So like you can still be solving the highest magnitude problem for your audience in a done for you way, but you mess up all of this other stuff, and this is where you get into the issue of lack of consumption, creating a lack of call bookings, and the quality being low, right? Whereas when when there's high consumption and it's of high quality product, they come to the back end with a lot of belief, and like price resistance goes down and stuff as well. So building your high converting backends really starts inside the product and the consumption. But outside of that, we can layer in some of our thinking from up here. Ooh, don't want to move this. Stephen, go first.
Hey, one of the things I've seen that's really effective with a book a call, as far as using it inside the product and jumping to a back end book a call kind of thing. And I've seen it done twice out of all the funnels I've seen, but it works really well. Is when they're consuming, you can bring up assumed questions and situations that they might want to handle, and you can answer those in line, but then also offer them the book a call to handle those very specific questions. So instead of just thinking of it as a book a call, you allow them to view booking a call from multiple angles and being able to answer those specific questions as a jump off point into working more deeply with you.
Yeah. Yeah. The yeah. Yeah, but what type of offers did you see that being worked on or used on?
Sorry, going back and forth between my earphones and the
Yeah,
speaker here, so I don't blast you.
what type of offers did you see that working on? Was it more kind of 0 to 1, 1 to 100 crowds? Was it?
It was 0 to 1, and then and then also one to many. Uh, it wasn't both of them were in a freelance kind of idea, helping freelancers become offer owners, so almost like a biz op kind of sense.
Yeah.
Um, but the formatting was different. One of them was a course. Another one was a front end book, and the back end of both. One guy was an email marketer, helping freelancers and agencies do more with email, and it was how he got more high ticket clients to work with. And the other guy, uh, he helped people set up offers, but his real back end was being able to run ads for them.
Yeah.
And so the mini course, it went through different sections, and it helped them like walk through a micro version of the solution problem model
Yeah.
and sequence things. And then whenever they felt overwhelmed, he had that book a call button right there. If you want to talk more deeply about it, if you want to go over this one to one, book a call right here. And it really helped people ascend from different places.
Yeah.
And it helped him optimize what he should include when talking to people on those book of calls.
Yeah. That's kind of linked to a little bit of what we you can you can inside your members areas underneath your videos, you can do a little bit of that type of thinking as well. But yeah, no, it works extremely well. Attaching the calls to like this. Yeah, if you can attach your content and move people, or sorry, in your content, if you can move people over to the calls, create justifications to move people over to the calls as an additional resource for help, it definitely helps a lot as well, for sure. Okay, let me get back on track here with this high ticket stuff, because I want to make sure I don't lose my train of thought on this. Yeah, so yeah, the your high tickets your high tickets should ultimately be the highest value, or sorry, the highest, use value as the term here, version of your front end products promise. The ultimate, yeah. Actually, there was a better way of saying it. The ultimate expression of your front end products promise. I don't know the way of saying this. That's not coming to me. Promise. What is this? Anyway, it's essentially, in essence, uh, uh, oh yeah, of your front end promise of your product. And so we can layer in some of the thinking here we've used before, below, right? So the ways you can do this is think through the timeline of the problem, uh, what limitations emerge emerge for them, and how you can solve them. Uh, what you can take off off their plate in your backend service, backend or high tickets. How you can make it faster, easier, or easier and easier to get the outcome. Why working with the with business on backend increases certainty for the outcome. The outcome. Yeah, let's put this into dedicated bullets. No, not that. This again. Yeah. Right. So yeah, this would be I should put this here. Just put all the high tickets. So yeah, these are the additional it's already under high ticket. Okay. Yeah, these are the additional things we can think about. So like the timeline of the problem, if we can move it from, 2 to 4 months on your own to 2 to 4 weeks with help, right? This was taken as a structure was taken um, um, from AC. This was actually used as part of the rapid launch stack, right? But your how your back end moves them forward on the timeline, and quality as well. I want to talk about those. So we want to bake all of these promises in. So I'm going to say emerge. What limitations emerge from them and how you can solve them, right? So like on your book a call VSLs, like one of the things you can use as a default is like, the concept of like where you are now as a phrase. Now is doing XYZ on your own, right? You're learning about it, reading about it, implementing it on your own. And so everything is there for you to do that, but you have to assemble it yourself. So this is kind of speaking to like sales copy type stuff, right? But you can put this type of conversation into your VSL. And so this would be more like promise. This would be near close. If we think about this from a VSL, this would be near the opening. And so like for this, yeah, this wasn't actually what I was going to do, but we can do your VSL recall, right? And the language you can use for this is like what we do for you in XYZ program is component one, component two, three, right? It doesn't matter what they are, but these components should be taking things off their plate. So like a component one will write your sales page. Okay. We'll get your graphic design done. We'll give you we'll create your automations, right? So this is the type of things you can like take off their plate. Now this is all still kind of in an AC style context, but you could do this if we talk this in a weight loss context. Like we'll give you we'll create a meal plan for you. Like we'll show you how to like set up and track your activity. We'll work with you directly on any problems that emerge, around compliance, right? I'm starting to get to the kind of more abstract versions of it. I need to think about that type of an offer more, but you can see how whatever the components are that help minimize complexity for them. And so yeah, we can think about these through that lens as well. Done for you for minimizing complexity for them, right? Then the next stuff is how we can get them faster outcome, right? So like this is where templates and sources come in. So we'll connect example here. Let's still keep this in an AC context. Like we'll connect you with our media buyers to run your ads, right? Not not a but that's an example of like that's partially like minimizing complexity for them, but it's also like making things easier and faster, right? And then like why work we've done this with hundreds of clients, done with 100 clients in thousands of markets. And this is probably getting a little hyperbolic now because it probably isn't thousand markets, but hundreds of my clients in almost any market you can think of. And then, you can inject some testimonials in there as well, right? So these are like components of VSL, and actually I should VSL for your backend. We reorder these from a hierarchy of importance, or sorry, the flow they should occur in. And then, yeah, quality of outcome, right? We'll check everything, tell you what's not working, fix any mistakes you make, this type of stuff. So this for your backend, when they've come to you after having gone through like high quality consumables, and then you have this type of a conversation with the audience, very, very easy when they come to the sales call. It's more of a criteria checking call rather than a actual overt sales call. It's like, okay, I know what's going on. I know what the promise is. I know how you can help me. It's just like I have two final questions. Can I, what are the terms? Maybe payment plan. Is there a payment plan? That type of thing will come up, or is there some XYZ whatever like individual quirk they have that's maybe not possible to cover or you couldn't know about. I work in the French market. Will it work there, for example, right? This some sort of quirk will emerge, right? But when you do this type of a process, um, when you do this type of a process for your call booking, you're you're minimizing all of that friction that comes in the sales process. And like that's why the whole promise of this call was, scaling from back to front. And part of the reason we can even do that is through all of this. Like everything you do to improve consumption and improve the ease of understanding for the any of your leads or customers, in terms of your core product or in any of your book calls, automatically increases that. So it's like, trying to get more, trying to get like coming back to what we said at the very, very start of the call, trying to increase opt-in rates by 1% to get a 10% lift on revenue, because that will just get us to break even, will have nowhere near as much of an effect as doing all of this stuff if this is leakier, right? This has a way, way, way bigger lift on the overall ecosystem as a whole. And let me actually just check. Handle components text side. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pieces for engagements. Is there any question? I'm going to just open up this to chat for a second. Is there any questions that are emerging, guys, or other stuff? Stephen, I know you've been at some great stuff that's emerging in here in the chat. How best to articulate these to the audience? Brett, can you give me an example? Sorry, that is from 20 minutes ago. Where are we talking about? I'd like to answer that question though. I answered it already. Damn. I beat myself to it. My offer is weekly event series. Do you think this could be a good fit for an AC funnel? Harry, what type of a weekly event? Feel free to unmute yourself. Let's try and put this into application here a little
Yeah.
bit.
So I'm in New York City and I work with professional Broadway singers and we basically do like a karaoke night and they will do like duets or group songs with guests for this like immersive interactive experience.
Yeah. The AC model has typically been used for you could architect it for that. Like guys have used the same sales funnel for like live events and stuff. We've had guys who've used it in the we've had guys who've used it in Fast Forward. What's his name? David Hines. That's his name. He used it. He used it for events. It can be done, yes. Typically, it's like for courses and books and that type of stuff. As a structure, there would be some nuance to it. That type of a purchase is anchored on, based on a, a timeline and like people's schedule versus, an AC funnel is typically kind of impulse purchase based around a very specific problem. So I'd need to have a bit more of a look at what the offer is. Is it kind of it's a karaoke night you were saying with professional singers?
Yeah, so people that have been on Broadway. And so
Right.
you have these people come and they do like a duet with them or a group song. Um, exactly.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Interesting. I could see the AC model working for that. You just build it's I would you'd use a I'd use a I'd lean into the story arc and experience component. I rework the whole format of the page around what what it looks like, clips from previous shows. Like let's pull up just a simple example. I think Joe is on this call. No,
Yes. So the last 3 months I've done it for free, and now I'm just charging like $10 for entry, and then like I have a higher tier for reserved seating, and then a higher tier if you want to guarantee like sing during the event. So that's why I think like some sort of upsell tripwire could work.
yeah, yeah, you could do upsells for it, but let me just find a random version of the AC page here. Um, Ooh. Anyone have an AC offer that they want to drop in chat? We'll have a look at. We'll give Harry a quick steer on this. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, instead of a book though, it'd be like the ticket would
yeah,
be
yeah.
the
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. We need to use take it. Actually, just use all of my clients. Yeah, Wayback Machine, Wayback Machine.
yeah. Steven put one in the chat.
Yeah, perfect. We'll maybe pull that one up as well. Might be a little bit more. This one could work as well. We'll have a look at another one here in chat.
So what surprised me in doing this is like I have 20 or 30 regulars who are these sort of super hobbyists, aspiring singers. Like they would like to be in plays or on Broadway and things like that.
Mm-mm.
Um, but I don't necessarily want to build a lot of info and like coach them because that's not something that I've experienced. But
The, the,
um,
the, unless you were the only way I could see info being related to it, whereas like if unless a huge section of the audience is attaching singing with Broadway singers to becoming a better singer, you'd need to like become a better singer product, but then it also has to be localized, and so it only people around the event that makes sense for. I wouldn't go that route. This needs to be novelty experience, and like you lean into that. Could you use this page format for it? Yeah, absolutely. So it was like, here's how we sell one to $305 books a day and turn them into, $5,000 back in customers was the promise here. We would change this to like, here's how to have a once in a lifetime experience singing with the best singer, the greatest singers in the world, right? Or, on Broadway, right? From people who've been in the Book of Mormon to this, to that, the other, whatever the things are, we can maybe put it as a sub headline. Then you have a VSL where it's like very kind of like screenshots from the um, from the previous events, maybe even some footage from some of the shows on Broadway, show like this, show like that, using some of the imagery and clips of any of the like marketing materials from those Broadway shows. And it's like, what can you expect on the Broadway show, what you can expect on the night when we hold them, right? Here's what it looks like, show the venue, right? You don't have to you could use this page format, and it's like, and then your bonuses would be like, here's everything that you're getting. You're getting a ticket, you're getting a free drink, you're getting this, that, or the other, whatever's included. Maybe that's not all there, but I'm just giving you ideas of how you can think about reformatting this structure. And then, some of your testimonials could be from, if you've any interviews from people or any footage, after your next one, Go and like get some footage, even just with a camera, like talking, hey, how did you find the event, guys? Yeah, great fun, whatever. You know what I mean? You can put that type of stuff here. And yeah, this section I would probably remove. I don't think you'd need this. Yeah, you wouldn't need this either. And then just for this section here, I would have a small bit of story arc and maybe just pictures from the event. Wouldn't be too crazy, but you could have a compressed version of this page structure for sure. And I've kind of given you a loose structure for thinking about it. Also, you'd want to call out location, for anyone in New York or wherever you are, right? Who wants a once in a lifetime experience, you know, bang. And then also I would talk about availability, dates and availability. We only have 100 seats, get them now before they're gone, that type of thing. And then over at the checkout. Oh yeah, this isn't going to go over. Yeah, okay, never mind. We'll use this checkout. Um, Over at this checkout, we will probably use hopefully this one. Yeah, this checkout is just, maybe you have a couple of dates. I would minimize the dates. I wouldn't have them option. Well,
Right now, I just advertise the next event,
yeah,
so
yeah.
there's not a choice.
I'd probably keep it there. Maybe this would be something you probably want to test. More options there. Also, you may want to drop down where it's like add X, Y, or Z number of tickets I want to buy, not just a ticket for me, tickets for friends as well, right? By 4 seats or whatever it is, that type of stuff. But I could see you retooling this. I've given you a loose structure of how I'd think about it. You could 100% retool this page for that type of event for sure. That makes sense?
Is that what you would do if I wanted to try to test something that was more optimized, or would there be something else you jump at first? Right now, I just drive meta ads to like a checkout page, basically.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, what's the checkout page converted?
like 1% or so, I would say.
So yeah, and it's a $10 ticket.
10 is the base ticket, and then it's 37 for reserved seats, but I've not sold any at 37. I sold out at 30, so I was testing a little bit higher. And then 97 for a guaranteed song.
Yeah, so I think this page may do better. I imagine I haven't looked at the checkout, but it sounds like that conversion rate on a $10 offer, like there's a lot of abstraction there. So the structure I've given you for here is building more anticipation and desire for it. So we have to make this a visual experience. The limitation with selling any digital offer or anything online is the way I said this on one of the very first calls I did here for NHB was on tangibility was one of the benefits of digital products is they're intangible and they have low margins, right? Or sorry, they have high margins from that, right? They're non-physical, which makes them very, very easy to every sale we make is we keep almost 100% of the revenue. The drawback of that is that they're non-physical. All of that benefit is they're also non-physical, i.e., the customer has no prior experience with them. They've no understanding of the form factor. Whereas, when you see a golf club and it's like, hey, buy this golf club,
You can touch it.
you've seen people swinging it before. You have a prior conceptualization of what the thing you can do with it is. And so for your ticket, assuming it's only going to the checkout page right now, that's the limitation that they're running into. It's just a ticket to an event with a promise. We need to kind of make the experience real and tangible in the ways I've kind of outlined here. And I think that would probably
So would it be lower hanging fruit to like test that in the creative and the ads and just do that first? Try to
maybe,
sell it there.
yeah, maybe, yeah, good videos, where, yeah, you could apply a lot of what I've said here to the video to a video. If you've got video chops, that would be useful. Yeah, for sure. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, no, my pleasure. Stephen.
Hey, just to piggyback on that last statement, um, if you've got video footage of the event and you put it on your page, if you put that on like the Facebook business page and then embed those videos onto the page, when you get people to watch those videos, you can retarget people based on the video view percentages to bring them back in.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you can set up your retargeting based on, percentage consumption videos that would work as well. Yeah, I think you could probably win it with creative. This needs to be. I think, to be honest, if you get really good at these video ads and you get them working on Meta, even YouTube ads, regionalized, I think they'll work even better for this offer because it's a video consumption environment. So if you do want to go that creative layer and you eventually get that working on Facebook in any sort of a high consumption way, and the way you can tell is just like by watch time percentages in your ad stats, and also in your kind of the general comments. They'll start tagging people. Oh my God, you got to check this out, Sarah. Look at this. There is that advantage with Facebook, is it has the ability for them to organically share it. But if you start getting those leading indicators, that's a message that you should take that same structure as an ad and throw it on YouTube as well, and it will even just like you could even just use it as base retargeting, but even for cold audiences, it will work equally as well. So if you go that route, and you want to stay with your current checkout, that's probably strategically a good idea. Also, like $10 tickets, is that all?
Yeah, I went from charging nothing to just charging, will people pay anything? And that was my first sort of test.
I think I think
Um,
I think as you dial this in, I think some of the price is not the objection, it's point in time. It's like, can we go to this or not? So it's like they're not
it's Monday nights
yeah,
once a week.
yeah. So they're not saying yes or no based on $10. They're saying yes or no based on, do I want to do this or not, and the desirability for it. So like if this was a $60 ticket, okay, that may be jumping the gun a bit, but if if the desire if the video side is good enough, the desirability goes up 10 or 60 for the person who wants to go. I think there's almost no brainer. Do you know what I mean? It's still, we got to go do this, right? So I think you can potentially look at pricing when you, if as the video start, if you get that video side locked down and that you see your conversion rates spike up. Oh, I don't think you're going to even your conversion a spike of in conversion rates for you may be going from 1 to 2%. But it's still 100% lift. But I think a lot of the reason that the conversion rates aren't higher on offers like this is like the pool of people who can purchase it isn't 100% of your traffic, it's 8% because it's based on I can't go on Monday. So like you're generating clicks that for people who even want to go, but they can't based on another constraint that's not, you can't, it's not easy to fix with traffic. So I think you might even, if you get any sort of an uplift in conversion rate, I still think I would massively play with pricing as well, because I don't think your objection is it's $10 and we're not going, right? It's, can we go on fucking Monday or not, right? So I think you have probably a potential play with pricing there a little bit as well.
So the venue is giving us that night for free because it's basically the worst night of the week.
Mhm.
Any thoughts on like how to handle that angle and like overcome that objection?
No, like, do they have any, get the venues to prepare, get the venue to do 2 for 1 cocktails or something like that for the first for with the ticket for the first thing, like something like that. It's like you call it, create a theme around it, Monday Madness or something like that. It's 2 for 1 cocktails and we have a Broadway show type thing. Create some form of gimmick around it, as to why you're doing it, as to why it's being done. And it is, that while it is the only day they have that you can do it, that would be how I would deal with that.
Okay, I have to noodle on that because the bar owner doesn't want to do drink promotions.
Just for the first drink, and say like, look, even you could potentially even build it into your ticket cost if you can raise prices on it. Just say, look, we'll give you $10 for every ticket we sell. Can we do a 2 for 1 drinks promo? Because that will help me sell these fucking things and get the place full, right? So you figure that,
Yeah,
like, you don't have to do that, but that's and then you go like, look, on if you get this so it's full every week, then you go back to them and say you can eat the 2 for 1 drinks promo because they're buying 10 drinks each. So I now need to make more money because it's like you can figure that out later. But that would be how I would just start that conversation with him, right? Just for the first drink, it's 2 for 1, right? Get people in the door. He may not want to do that, but that would be how I would think about it, right? And you say, look, I'll give you if you can build that into your ticket cost and pass that to him, that would be something I would consider doing. Like for every ticket we sell, we'll give you $10 towards this 2 for 1 drink. So just you give people a coupon on the way in the door, they hand that, bang, job done, easy.
thanks.
Well, no, my pleasure, my absolute pleasure. Stephen.
Hey, another fun angle to play with a bar owner, because I had to do this with some local people before, when we were running my dance studios and being able to come in and pick up an extra night, is the drinks are how they're generating revenue. So we say, okay, instead of you selling drinks, what if we add to our ticket price and sell drink vouchers
Yeah.
that they can redeem, and that way we're capping the expense of the liquor that you use, but we're maximizing the cash that people will buy in either ahead of time or when they get there or whatever it is. You're giving yourself more inflows for cash to leverage, show the bar owner, I'm an extra revenue generating machine for you. You want me here.
Mm.
The other thing with that type of deal with the Broadway stuff, also remember that the Broadway shows are the superstructure in that market. So yeah, it might be a Monday night, but if you're leveraging, hey, karaoke on Monday night, that's one thing. If you're saying, come sing with the cast as a behind the scenes of this Broadway show on this night, you're probably going to get more people because they identify with how much they like the show, maybe more than they like karaoke night.
Yeah, that would be kind of like why you would reference, you want to reference if you get any footage of them singing at the Broadway show, right?
Yeah.
That type of stuff, or any of the marketing materials, like you're playing on that, the desirability. These guys are already building up all that value for you, right? In terms of like they have to market that show, so you're just literally piggybacking off that by just putting it there. So like Broadway, I am guessing you're probably not doing this yet, and so but if they're building all that brand equity and desirability, and so now you get to go like touch the hand of God essentially. So yes, I agree with Stephen on that completely.
The
But
other side quest that allows you to do if you start targeting it like that is, I know you're doing Meta right now, but it also allows you to start considering YouTube and Google for high intent search based on the keywords around those shows.
yeah, you could even do it off the back of let's say, I don't know, Book of Mormon, we'll just use as an example because it's a Broadway show we know, yeah. If there is this, I mean, are you in New York?
Yes.
Yeah. Got it. So yeah.
I think I like all these ideas. I'm just trying to think about like what is the next incremental step to now that I'm charging anything at all to just kind of fill the event back up. Like when it was free, we'd have 70 to 100 people, and now we have about 50, and just
How many seats do you
yeah,
have?
just
It's 100 your max capacity, or
115, 120, and then I think about two-thirds show up, so I'd be comfortable selling like 150 tickets, you know.
I think as you raise price, that if you did raise price in line with what I was saying, those numbers are probably, the show rates are probably going to change a bit. For $10, it's
Yeah.
enough with throwaway. If it goes to 40, 50, while I don't think the numbers would drop down massively, I think your show rate would increase a bit. So just do be mindful of that if you change pricing. That won't, like there's an impulse purchase, and then there's a we're going to the show. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
change pricing, just be mindful of that. Okay. In terms of, I would just focus on, I think the video ad with a lot of what I said for the sales page would be good. And this is all in recording as well, so you can kind of go back through and peel through the notes on this. That sounds like probably the highest or the quickest short-term thing you can do. But also, if you want to reformat that AC page, you've kind of got the base structure for that there as well.
Thank
Okay.
you.
No, my pleasure. I think we've kind of covered a lot of this, guys. We'll probably do a 3.0 version of this call where we'll pick up right from here and move forward from it. And I may reformat some of this after the call into the grid. I'm going to go back through my notes and just make sure that everything else is here. Is there anything else related to what we've covered on the call directly that but like I was planning on using this more, but it's not. Yeah, maybe flesh this out. Is there anything else that we've? Stephen, go ahead. But is there anyone else? If you've got any questions to what we covered on the call, or would like some clarifications or questions, 100% go for them. And yeah, Stephen, you got the mic.
Yeah, just because you're already in flow state about it,
Yep.
and I just want to make sure it's deeper here. Now that you've got this deeper train of thought going, can you go a little deeper on your thoughts on taking something abstract and making it more concrete for people? Not to reiterate what you did on the tangibility of Bump's call, but just with the principles here, I think it's worth saying it all again.
Yeah. So like we've multiple realms of how we consume knowledge and understand things. There's like the auditory realm, the visual realm, the kinesthetic realm, which is like how you feel about it. And to kind of use Harry's example here, Harry's example here, as we were talking about, like while he's selling tickets right now, he's really selling an experience, and so the mapping out what that experience looks like through all of those realms, from sound to the visuals to the desirability for seeing what that experience is like with other people. Um, that helps build up a visualization of what that experience will look like, right, for them. So it increases it, like it removes it, it filters out the. It's very easy to say something like we have a karaoke night when there's no visual imagery on the page. And I know that's not just what you're doing, just the Broadway component. But if we have strong imagery associated with it, other people doing it, previous footage from previous events, showing that it's been happening over time, footage from any of the footage from any of the shows where we have our authority figures and all the authority bias that we have built up from those and all the marketing budgets that are being done there. This creates a much more cohesive plan, even just like people, drinking and socializing, that type of stuff. Next time you're holding an event, show the room, that type, like you need to create videos from all of that. This helps ground the idea in reality, not just a conceptualization. So it massively amps up the wanting to go and participate, right? Because that's really that's what any event is. It's not even the fact that it may be a karaoke night, but it's like participating can just be being there and enjoying other people singing, right? It doesn't have to be them, but just seeing that what goes on is a big part of it. So, yeah, Stephen, on your question, if I want to anchor this more to like AC offers or like digital info stuff,
Yeah.
The like our
Well,
limitation. Go ahead.
I was going to say just to give you a trigger there. Alan mentioned it. I think it was earlier today that the further you want to scale, the more people you're going to run into that don't have the ability to abstract and figure out what you're trying to tell them. So you have to go deeper into doing the legwork, into giving them the conception, giving them the experience up front so they can get on board with what you're talking about.
Yeah. You could, yeah, and yeah. Sometimes you could even think about that from a problem aware, solution aware lens. I think Alan was talking about more that just even from an innate capacity to like visualize for themselves perspective. But yeah, the limitation with any purchase is picturing yourself using it, right? Think of any item you've bought recently. It could be a Mac, it could be a phone, it could be a car. You know in particular for high price, it's probably better to think of the stuff that like you have to spend some energy investing in purchasing, where you're going to be using this object over time or the experience over time, or like you're going to be living with the consequences of it. Like if it's going on a vacation and you're having to do that with debt, as an example, not that everyone here will be doing that type of stuff, but like that's a conscious decision. And like, why is it? Because you've got a story built up for yourself around the purchase, right? I always wanted to go to Hawaii or whatever it is. So it's like, and the reason you always wanted to go to Hawaii is because you have this very clear visual picture of what Hawaii looks like. You know what the beaches look like. You know what the experience is going to be when you get over there, or you at least have a conceptualization of it. Other people have told you about going to Hawaii, right? So like think about it through that lens, where it's like, what story is the audience telling to them? What story do I tell to myself before I make a purchase? And you layer that into the thinking for your offers as well. Like, what story do these people need to tell themselves before they can make their purchase of my products? It's the same type of thing, right? Harry, go ahead. Sorry, you had your hand up as well.
Oh yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
I was just going to ask, so with the video ads, is it just like most of my ad success has been with static images? Like, do you still do like a direct response ad with those and drive them to purchase right off the ad, or do you just try to raise awareness, or any specifics about that you can speak to?
You could do video view engagement ones if you wanted to just have this like broad catch-all. Like the your static image ads may still be your best converters, but the video ads build the intent. They could still be purchase conversion ads, but I would try both, where I have them one as a purchase conversion objective, but then also to the same audience, video engagement being the other one, because it may be a case that you're just building this audience of for very low
For
cost
retargeting?
for retargeting. Yeah, it's like, okay, anyone who's what we find that anyone who's watched 30% or more, 25% or more of this video, is a solid lead, and then you're just retargeting them to your static image ads, and so it's like one leads to the other. But those video view campaigns, like those are low. That's lower cost inventory on Facebook versus purchase targeting ads, right? The video view stuff, they don't charge the same amount for it because you're staying on ecosystem. It's on Facebook, right? And
Right.
especially if you do it as high quality product, high quality video ads. If you have an opportunity with the type of product you're doing where it's fun, it's an experience. If you make it shareable and commentable and tag your friends, you should probably even put that stuff in. Hey, tag a friend that you should go with type stuff. You should sprinkle some of that in here. Like it does
I
require.
have a 2 minute clip of being on the local news. Like maybe test that.
Yeah, you could weave that in. Yeah, you could weave that into the story, but I still think it's all about the how the live event and making it feel real, and leaning on the, I don't know, whatever the Broadway shows are, as much as you can lean on, sing with the star from X, sing with the star from Y, show some of their marketing materials. Like you don't want to do a huge amount of it, but enough to just enough to reference it so it's fair use rather than stealing all of their marketing stuff.
Hmm.
It would still be under fair use if you're just referencing it and showing some of their images because it's like an aspect of what you're doing, but it's not the totality of it. Um, yeah, I think that video ad could work really really well. So Stephen, have I given you a good enough answer, or do you want me to pull it that in, any other threads? Oh, good. Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, guys. I'm going to skim through my notes afterwards, make sure there's nothing I've missed. Maybe reorganize some of this. Bubble, I thought I was going to use more for this call, so I think I'm going to pull that link out. Maybe I'll expand this out a little bit. We'll do a 3.0 version of this call, and we'll try and pick up our thinking from here and move forward from this point. But yeah, all of this optimizing from back to front. People thought I was going to be only talking about booking calls, but it really starts with the product, right? Your, like, for example, Harry, in your experience for your offer, if you want it to become a referral environment where they bring more friends in future, the experience is everything, right? If they have a bad time, if the bar is dingy or if it's dangerous outside, and I know this some of this stuff may be outside your control, but you can see what I'm getting at. I'm not, if that net experience is shit, it doesn't, like, you have to always rely on the marketing and sales stuff to bring more people in. They'll never say, oh, you got to go and check that out, right? So this is what I mean by, like, this is the perfect example of the second the marketing and sales is over, the product takes over. And so all secondary transactions come from that, even though, Harry, while you may have some repeat customers, the majority of it would be who they refer, oh, I bought tickets for mom and dad for that, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, that type of behavior only occurs when it's good, right? So you see what I'm getting at. That's
One thing, like there's not enough slots for everyone to sing, so I've added a referral where like you get an extra raffle ticket for every friend that you bring.
okay,
So
got
like
it.
that's the referral program.
Yeah,
And then a lot of these like really like aspiring singers, they said they would want to do like a membership where they get like pay like a monthly fee and get more access or discounted access and coaching. So there may be something there too, but I think I need to just figure out the front end still before I do
yeah.
that.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, but I'll go through my notes. We'll eventually do a low ticket mastery 3.0 version of this call where we'll go even deeper on some of this stuff. But I hope this has been valuable. We'll get the recording over to Alvin. And yeah, I'm glad everyone's enjoyed the call. Take it easy, guys. And yeah, the tomorrow we've got reading offers. I think it's reading offers tomorrow with Lauren. So if you have, uh, in fact, actually, Harry, if you're still here, may have just left. But yeah, if you want Lauren to have a look at your ads or anything that you're working on, make sure to get submitted for that as well. And obviously, yeah, post questions in the forum as well and tag us in the Discord group. We'll come back to you with whatever we can. But yep, outside of that, guys, great call, and we'll see you all soon. Thanks, guys.